Hi all, welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's session, we will be discussing about instance method in Python object-oriented programming. Basically, instance method has two different types, majorly getter method and setter method. But before understanding the getter and setter method, let us have some overview on instance method. Instance method. Instance methods are the methods which acts upon the instance variables of the classes. Self variable by default as the first parameter for the instance method. So these methods acts upon the instance variable and they use a self as a first parameter. So def method name self, method body, def method name self, f1 f2 as the parameters, method body. These are the syntaxes with instance method without arguments, instance method with arguments. Now let us look into actual instance methods. So instance method have two types. So one is instance method without arguments and instance method with arguments. So now if you look into the example instance method without arguments, you could able to see the changes between the with arguments. So in the without arguments, the instance method doesn't have any formal parameter, but in case of instance method with argument, we have a parameter age. Now let us try to execute this instance method without arguments first and with arguments next. So let us go on to pointer and try to execute this method dot view instance method. So instance method without arguments. Now let us define a class student, okay, underscore init self common name self dot name is equal to name. Now I will define instance method as show. Self is the first parameter. Then I will try to print name of the student is self dot name. So I will create an object for this. Object 1 is equal to student and I will pass a name Bima. Then I will call object 1 dot show instance method. When I run this program, I will get an output as name of the student is Bima. So this is my instance method and this is the instance variable. We are accessing the instance variable in the instance method, but instance method doesn't have any argument. I'm passing this object 1 actual argument to constructor to instantiate the instance variable. Now let us execute instance method with argument. Again, I will try to create class student def score init self name, then self dot name is equal to name. Now I will define a show or disp variable, method name self as a first parameter, and I will define age as a formal parameter. Then self dot age is equal to age. Now I will print with f string name of the student is dot name and his slash her age is self dot age. Here we have a formal parameter age and we need to declare it from the object call. Now I will try to create object 2. Here I will call the student, then I will declare a name Krishna. Then in the object 2 I will call disp instance method. Here I will call the 25 as the age of Krishna. If I run this function, you could able to see instance method without arguments returns the output as name of the student is Bhima, But when I run the instance method with argument, the output is name of the student is Krishna and his or her age is 25. So I think you understood the concept here. The difference between these two for programs is in the instance method, we use instance variable inside instance method. In the first case, we don't have any formal parameter. But in second one, we have the formal parameter age and we are passing it with instance method function. So these are the two common differences between these two functions. That's the instance method test cases without arguments, with arguments. So now in the instance method, we have two methods. One is getter method and one is setter method. Now let us look into getter method. So getter method is used to access or read data of the variables. This method do not modify the data in the variable. So class, if you look into the example, so class A in itself name Ravi, age, def disp self age, print student name is self name. We are accessing instance variable inside the instance method, and in the get function or getter method, we are accessing the instance variable, and we are finally calling it with the help of object. Now let us execute it first. Getter py. Let me create a class student self name self dot name is equal to name. So I'll create one more disp function self age self dot age is equal to age. Now I will define a getter method get underscore name. So use self as a first parameter. Now I will print name of the student is self dot name. I'm accessing instance variable in the getter method, and I will do one more print method. So with the help of f string, age of the candidate is self dot age. Now I will try to call the class object1 is equal to student. Here I will pass Karna as the name. Then I will pass object1 this age as 35. Then I will call the getter method object1 dot get name. So when I run this, I got an output as name of the student is Karna, age of the candidate is 35. So how this works, let us see. So getter method is used to get the data for read. So here I defined a class student and I defined an constructor with a formal argument name, and self will be the default parameter, and self dot name is equal to name will be the instance variable which is created in the constructor. Now I will define instance method disp with the formal argument age, and I also define the instance variable self dot age is equal to age. So and now in order to get the data of the instance method, I will be using getter method. So get underscore name is the getter method name, and self as the first parameter, and I print the data as the name of the student is self name and the age of the candidate is self age. So I'm accessing the both the instance variables in the getter method, and once after the defining the class, I will try to create an object one for a class student, and I will pass an actual argument for a constructor as Karna. Then I will call the disp function with the help of object 35. So this will be the age of the disp function. So finally, after calling the getter method with the help of object1, object1 dot get name, all the following instance variables will be accessed in the getter method and it will be printed. So hence finally the output is name of the student is Karna and age of the candidate is 35. So that's all with the getter method. Now setter method. Setter method is used to access or read and modify the data of the variable. This method modify the data in the variable. For example, we have in class A def in itself self dot name is equal to Ravi. In constructor we have an instance variable. In this function we have defined the age as well, and in the setter name we are modifying his name, where Ravi is modified to Rakshi and we are printing his name, and I'm finally calling the setter method. So let us try to execute the setter method. Setter dot py. Here I will define a class student def underscore init self dot name is equal to name. I will do one more formal parameter as name. Now I will define a function show, which is self as a parameter, and I will define its age as well. Here I will print name of the person or student is self dot name, and his age is self dot age. But we have not at all defined within self parameter. So first we need to define self dot age is equal to age. Now def I will set the method set name. With the help of setter method, I will be modifying its name. Self dot name is equal to Ramarjuna. Print name of the person after using setter method is self dot name. So here I just modify its name. Now I will try to call it. Object1 is equal to student, and I will call name as Krishna. Then I will call the show function with age as 25. Now I will call the set method. So if I run this, now you could able to see when I pass an input as Krishna, I'm getting an output as name of the person of the student Krishna, and his age is 25. But with the help of setter method, I modified its name is to Ramarjuna, and now I'm printing the name of the person is person after using setter method is self.name. Hence, it will give the name as Ramarjuna. So I will explain how it is working. So initially I defined a class which is student. Def init self.name will be the constructor, and it has two parameters. Self will be the default parameter and name will be the explicit parameter. So self.name is equal to name will be the parameter which will be associated with self variable. So def show self.self comma age. I'm defining an instance method. Here also I'm creating an variable which is associated with the self.age is equal to age. When I print it, the name of the person or student is self.name and his age is self.age. I'm accessing the instance variable in instance method. And now, as I'm explaining with setter method, I can modify its method. I can read and modify the instance variable. So I'm modifying self.name is equal to Ramarjuna. So whatever the data I have passed will be modified to Ramarjuna, and I will try to print it using the setter method. So once after calling an object1 for a student, I pass a name as Krishna, and it will be moved to first constructor, and the following name will be assigned to instance variable self.name. So, and when I call a show function with the help of object1, I pass an value as 25, and the following value will be assigned for self.age. So when I call this function, the following print statement will be executed, where you could able to access the self.name, which is Krishna, and self.age is 25, which I have passed through the actual argument whenever I was calling a show function. But again, I'm calling a setter method. Here
I'm modifying the instance variable to Ramarjuna. So it will overwrite the name which I was passed to constructor. So now Krishna has been overwritten with Ramarjuna, and I've given the print statement to create a statement like name of the person after using setter method is self.name. Name instead of Krishna, it will be overwritten with Ramarjuna. Hence, setter method is used to access and modify the data. Hence, the output is name of the person or student is Krishna and his age is 25 before setter method. After calling setter method, the name of the person after using setter method is modified to Ramarjuna. So this how the setter method works. So that's all with instance method. Thank you.